Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the G Perspective. I am your host, George Michael Perez, aka GMike. You guys already know what it is. You guys can follow me on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram at GMike Media _. For the podcast itself, the audio file that's going to be played is under the G Perspective on all podcast platforms. And then you can follow me on Twitter as well at George Mike Perez. Today we got an amazing show for you guys. I got two of my classmates that haven't been on the pod before, but these guys are amazing at what they do in the same program as I am in the sportscasting program of Full Sail. These dudes know exactly what they're doing, know exactly what they're talking about, and they have this energy and edge to them that you're going to see them on TV one day, or if not behind the scenes, but they're going to making big bucks in this industry. I got one dude, his name is Brandon Daniels. Dude is young, but he acts like he's 30 years old, and I respect him for that. And another dude, Alphonso McCree Jr., is an ex-Marine. My dog, my dude. How you guys doing, my mains?
What up, George? What up? What up? What up?
Doing good, bro. Doing good.
Doing good. All right, before we get started with this, man, because I know you guys got a lot to say of what happened this past weekend in these conference championships. I just want to mention real quick, man, I respect you guys and how you bring yourselves into the program and put your work out there, all the content that you do. The work that you guys put in each and every day, I respect it, and I hope you guys keep going because I know you guys can be big time one day, and I hope you get there for sure.
Grind never stops, dude. You just got to keep it going, man.
Yes, sir. Hey, man, sometimes, we get tired, but, there's some people that don't want to work out, but they're like, no, I got to go do it. Just like,
Exactly.
Athletes, they're like, yo, man, I want to take the day off, but nope, they can't. Because if they take the day off, they got someone behind them that's going to come and take it from them. Yeah, man. So with these conference championships, bro, it was crazy. I want to start off first with the Cincinnati Bengals beating the Kansas City Chiefs in overtime, man. Yo, it was down to the wire like we all expected, but we thought there was going to be a different game from Mahomes, but in the second half, this man was nowhere to be seen. Brandon, I'm going to start off with you. What do you think was the cutting edge to that game?
I think the biggest thing about that game, if you really break it down, I don't even think anyone would have really even been talking about Patrick Mahomes and how bad he played if he had just kind of kept it consistent. Maybe he wouldn't have played as well in the first half, and the second half kind of went sort of the same. But the fact that he played so well in the first half, and then obviously the terrible second half that he had, and of course the overtime and all of which ensued in that, I think the fact that the last half hour and then, of course, overtime as well of that game in comparison to the first half, that's what sealed the game. And that's what the biggest criticism was for Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, that they faltered in the second half. That was the biggest thing for me, obviously the Bengals played a great game, but Patrick Mahomes, in a situation that we've all seen that he's been in multiple times before, faltered. And that was the biggest story.
Yeah, facts. What about you, Alfonso? I know you got a lot to say on it.
Well, I got to shift my focus to the Bengals, actually, because this is the first time that they've actually had an explosive offense. Now, I wouldn't consider the Andy Dalton days explosive offense. I would consider that they were a good offense. They were consistent. Marvin Lewis had them playing well. But at the end of the day, when it came to the playoffs, they didn't have the firepower they needed to beat those elite defenses that they were going to see every week in the playoffs. And as a result, they kept falling out in their first game. Didn't matter if it was a wild card or a division. I don't even know if they made it to a divisional round before this season. So the wild card was their kryptonite because they couldn't score enough points. And this season we see Joe Burrow, he's come in, the Bengals have proved that Jamar Chase was actually the right pick for them in that first round this past season, because a lot of people were complaining. They were like, man, you need to take a left tackle. Joe Burrow just tore his whole knee up. You got to give him some blindside protection. But I think what this really goes to show is that chemistry is a real thing that you can't deny. And the same way that Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase tore up defenses while at LSU, they're doing the same exact thing now. Now they're one win away from their first Super Bowl in franchise history, which is pretty incredible to say the least.
No, 100%. And I love the fact that you bring up Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase because they had that great chemistry in LSU, like just how you were saying. But I want to talk about that defense that played against Mahomes in the second half. It was just like they came out of that locker room and they turned it up like 10 notches. Because the way that Mahomes was playing in that first half, he had 3 touchdowns with like maybe 2 or 3 incomplete passes, but everything else was perfect, right on target. But in that second half, that Cincinnati defense came to play, and Mahomes couldn't even get Tyreek Hill one pass on that. When it comes down to that Cincinnati defense, did you guys think that they were gonna do that in the second half? They were gonna stop Mahomes, one of the greatest quarterbacks of this generation? You thought they were gonna do that and be like, no, you ain't getting nothing past us?
I mean, how can anybody think that a team like the Bengals, who, of course, like Alfonso said, has had a kryptonite in the playoffs, how could anybody think that the Bengals are going to take down Patrick Mahomes, who has been one of the best quarterbacks of this generation already? He's proved it in 4 years. But I think it goes down to one play, and I think it wasn't even in the second half. It was at the end of the first half. So at the end of the first half, the Chiefs had already put up 3 scores, and they were right on the goal line against Cincinnati there. Cincinnati, I mean, they were right there. Kansas City had one play to end this game, and instead of kicking the field goal to go up 24-3, instead they decided, you know what? Let's go for the touchdown. Let's go for the killing blow. And that, I think, was the play. Kansas City not only tried to go for the win, but they tried to taunt the Bengals, I feel like. And I think for Cincinnati, they're like, all right, if you're going to do that, then we got to prove that we're a legit team. We're not some team that you can toy around with in the first half, as you try to get another Super Bowl. No, we're a real team, and we're going to prove that. They went out in the second half in overtime, and they proved that.
Yeah, but I got to say, when you have that Chiefs offense, you got to go for it in that situation. I mean, you really do, because 9 times out of 10, you're going to get it. It just so happens that 1 time out of 10 was right there, and it cost them big. But, we saw it last season in the playoffs, that divisional round game against the Browns, 4th and 2. You got your backup quarterback in because Mahomes just got concussed. He just got his head rocked, and you still go for it because you feel like you have the offensive firepower to make it happen. If you go for it in that situation, there's no reason for you to not go for it. When on 4th and goal. I mean, you have Patrick Mahomes. I'll take that, every day of the week.
I mean, at the 1 yard line, no less.
I mean, at the 1 yard line, like there's no way anybody goes to Vegas and they're like, put a bet on this right now. Are they going to get in? Ain't nobody betting money against the Chiefs getting into the end zone because they're like, I'm going to lose $100. Like, there's no way I'm putting money on this. But when we talk about coaching and defensive adjustments and things like that, the Bengals don't necessarily have any superstars on their defense, but what they do have is a wide assortment of studs who like really play their roles very well. Eli Apple was a big pickup for them. Awuzie was a huge pickup for them. They needed a number 1 corner badly, and they got Awuzie after Dallas, let him go. Pickups like that anchor a defense. You have players that can make the players around them better, even if the players around them aren't superstars or even, Pro Bowl caliber players. When they're playing with a certain person who knows everybody's assignment, who can put people in the right place, who's an on the field coach, basically, you can see those second half adjustments. The speech at halftime had to be something of like, we have everything we need to stop this offense. It doesn't matter that they're the Chiefs. We're the Bengals. We deserve to be here. Let's show why we deserve to be here. And then they come out in the second half and they play like that. I mean, it's really astounding. And I keep going back to the fact that they hadn't won a playoff game in 31 years, because when you really think about that and you put that into perspective, you're like, you don't win a playoff game for 31 years. And then you just go on this magic run this year. Most people, you got to take baby steps. Oh yeah, let's get out of the wild card first, and then we'll get bounced. We'll come back next year. No, they're like, we want the whole thing now.
Yeah. Just going back to what you guys were talking about right before the half ended, that 4th and goal that they try to go for. Honestly, man, you're up 21-3. Yo, kick the field goal, bro. Kick the field goal. Why are you going for it, man? You're up 21-3. You got 24-3.
Well, you know what? That's why though, because you're up 21-3. You think you can afford to, do that, because The Bengals offense hadn't done anything the entire first half.
Wow.
So at that point, if I'm Andy Reid, I'm like, I can trust my defense. If I
When you go,
fail, like from 1 yards out, I can trust my defense to not give up a score. Like, we're good. We got this. It's just, I think it's less about that particular call and just more. You had 30 more minutes to put up points in the second half. You're
Yeah,
the you're the
facts.
you're one of the greatest offenses of this generation that we have ever seen. I haven't seen an offense like this since the 15-1 Packers back in 2011.
that's got to sting for
Like,
you though.
dominant offenses. Shut up, Brandon.
Look, I'm going to say about the Chiefs though.
Oh man.
Not only can they trust their defense, but they also went touchdown, touchdown, touchdown in their first 3 drives. So obviously you're thinking, all right, well, even if you don't score at the end of the first half, you don't score that touchdown. I mean, you got to think that superstar quarterback, superstar wide receiver, superstar tight end, and a lot of other pieces around you are going to be able to get you more than 3 points at the very end of the fourth quarter. But of course, that's not just what happened.
Yeah, no. But like, I know that as an athlete, you don't want to go back into the past and look into the past of the games that you played before. But as a coach, you played the Bengals earlier in the season, which was like 2 or 3 weeks before the playoffs started. The same exact score going into halftime, and the same thing happened. The Cincinnati Bengals came back and scored like 4 touchdowns back to back to back. So what I mean about the field goal, if you kick that field goal, you're up 24-3. There's no overtime. There's no overtime. You're winning that game in the final 2 minutes, going down the field and taking a knee and stuff. Obviously, they weren't thinking about what was going to happen. And then obviously they're like, oh, we put trust into Mahomes and to our offense because we all would put trust into them. But it just didn't play out like that. And it came to bite them in the butt. Not going for the field goal. You give them the momentum going into second half. They're hyped. They're giving a speech. Oh, these guys are scary. These guys are scary. They're back against the wall. And look what happens.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from. It's just, like I said, that offense, man, I'm going for it every time as well. Because even if we don't get it and, I'm trusting my defense and all that stuff, it's like we said, the offense has been moving the ball so well. There's no reason for me to believe as the coach that we're not going to do this in the second half. Like, that second half had to have shell-shocked them completely because they had no idea why they couldn't move the ball. Like, what adjustments was the Bengals coaching staff making on that sideline that just took everything that Mahomes was trying to do away? And then when Mahomes gets into his own head and he starts playing hero ball, that's when things typically fall apart for the Chiefs. That's what we were seeing earlier in the season when they were taking so many bad losses, is that once Mahomes was like, okay, they've kind of figured out this offense, he goes into hero ball mode and just starts making mistake after mistake after mistake. And it compounds itself and it ends up in some pretty bad losses. And I would say I'm surprised that the Bengals won, but the more that I think about it, the more I go back and analyze this Chiefs season, it makes sense that the Chiefs didn't make it to the Super Bowl this year, because the way that they played repeatedly over and over again, yeah, they went on that long winning streak where they were looking pretty good, but to be honest, they shouldn't have made it out of the divisional round. Just being real, they shouldn't have made it out of that. They were looking like complete crap earlier in the season, and they had to figure out a different way to play, and basically that same style that they were making all the mistakes with and losing was the same style they brought into that second half. And as you can see, it was the same result. The Chiefs, unfortunately for them, are not going to the Super Bowl this year.
I mean, it is interesting though, because it's the thing that kills them for the Chiefs, right? The hero ball by Mahomes, that's what's killed them all season. That's why they got into the hole earlier in the year, and that's why they lost the game against the Bengals. But it's also the same type of football that won them the Super Bowl against the Niners 2 years ago. So it's going to be interesting to see where the Chiefs go from here on offense. But to your point, George, there is one positive, I think, for Kansas City coming out of this game. And it's the fact that they were able to game plan from the loss that they had to the Bengals at the end of the regular season, and they held Jamar Chase to 54 yards. So if you want to talk about one positive in this entire game for Kansas City, you don't want to talk about falling apart, you don't want to talk about losing the game to the Bengals, not going to the Super Bowl, whatever. The only positive is at least the defense stepped up when they needed to for the majority of this game, especially against Jamar Chase. So if I'm Kansas City, I'm like, all right, Patrick fell apart. It's okay. These things happen. But not the way you want to end it out. But, Jamar Chase, we held him to 54 yards and 6 catches, a lot better than the end of the regular season, put it that way.
Yeah, yeah. And real quick, before we go into the next game, at the end of that overtime, I know you guys were watching the game. When Mahomes threw that interception that got the Bengals to go up the field and kick the field goal for the win, Tyreek Hill was double covered, right? Obviously, they weren't thinking of what was going to happen. No one knew what was going to happen, whatever. But if you see your man double covered downfield, you're a little bit away from giving up the ball, and do that tip drill that happened. Do you throw that pass if you see him double covered downfield, or you just throw it out and try to get to the next down?
It was definitely a bad pass by Mahomes, but we've seen him complete that pass so many times that it's like he probably thought, yeah, I can do this. I can complete it. A lot of quarterbacks, they have that confidence where they've completed passes like that, sometimes even in triple coverage, where they just put the ball in the exact place that only their receiver can get it. And they trust their receiver because he's elite and he can get his feet down in bounds and all that good stuff. Mahomes probably thought it was a good, opportunity. He thought at the worst it was going to fall incomplete. What he didn't realize is that the Bengals have been practicing that tip drill in practice. And Eli Apple was in the perfect place at the perfect time. And Mahomes paid the price, man. And then the Bengals, they understood, hey, we don't score here and we give Mahomes back the ball, we're going home.
Yep.
So they locked in and they got it done.
I mean, it's interesting, like the power of having an elite quarterback and then also having an elite receiver. What that does for Kansas City is obviously Mahomes, like when you're a quarterback, you want to lead your receivers, right? You want to get your receivers the ball. For Mahomes, he has the ability to put the ball in places that not many other quarterbacks can put it. But also Tyreek Hill has the ability to find the ball in places where receivers shouldn't be able to find the ball. Mm-hmm. And that's what makes it so dangerous. And honestly, if Patrick wants to throw that ball to Tyreek Hill, by all means, bro, you go for that. Because obviously it's been working in the past. There's a reason why they're so dominant. So I can't really say that was a terrible pass, except for the fact that it got intercepted, because this is just stuff that Mahomes and Tyreek Hill do on the regular. So it just didn't work out this time. And that's just the danger of playing this type of football like the Chiefs do.
It's one of those plays where similar to the 4th and goal situation, where if it goes the other way, the narrative is completely different. Like I think about things in that perspective, and I'm like, this isn't like this isn't like the Chargers going for it on 4th and 2 from their own 25. Like, that's stupid whether you get it or not. I'm still gonna look at you like an idiot, But when you got plays like 4th and goal, or you got plays where, I'm just gonna throw it up to my best receiver because he consistently comes down with these. Those are plays where it can go either way. They're 50-50 plays, and if they go the other way, we're having a completely different discussion right now. We're talking about how great they are, like how gutsy they are to go for plays like that and stuff, So it's sports, man. You win some, you lose some. I don't think the Chiefs deserve like a lot of criticism. Of course they lost. There's things they could have done a lot better, especially in that second half. But when you think about it, only one team can win the Super Bowl every season, and it's not going to be the same team every season. Most likely, unless Tom Brady plays for you, it's going to be a different team every season. You're going to end the season very upset with how your team finished, So I mean, it's just, it happens. They'll be back though. They'll be back.
Yeah, no, and I agree, and they shouldn't get very criticized for it, because they've been to 4 straight AFC championships. Props to them, but they will not be going to the Super Bowl. The Cincinnati Bengals will be going to the Super Bowl, and they will be the away team, because the home team will be the Los Angeles Rams, because they beat the San Francisco 49ers 20-17. Man, what a game. It wasn't as nerve-wracking as the Kansas City versus Cincinnati one, but there was great defensive play. Obviously, Cooper Kupp is MVP. He should be MVP, honestly, like the way he's been playing all season and through these playoffs, and most likely in the Super Bowl, he's going to play the same way. Odell Beckham Jr. played great as well. Stafford, too. But what I want to talk about is the lack of offense that the San Francisco 49ers have. Alfonso, with Jimmy G as quarterback, you think that he could actually give a team, I'm not going to say San Francisco 49ers because I don't even think he's going to be there next season, but you think he could give a team a Super Bowl ring, a Super Bowl win?
He was one quarter away from doing it against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs.
That's a lot.
Like,
That's a lot.
he gave his team a 10-point lead in the fourth quarter. It was up to that defense not to squander it. Now, yeah, he overthrew a pass that would have gave the San Francisco 49ers a Super Bowl victory. But I do think that Jimmy can get you there. There's something about certain quarterbacks where they don't have to be the best passers of the football. They don't have to have the flashiest stats, but they somehow always luck up and find a way to win games. And that's been Jimmy G for his entire career. He's never done anything fancy. He's the epitome of a game manager. He is Alex Smith 2.0. But he just wins. That's all he does. He just wins. So you put him on a team like New Orleans, for example, that has a great running game, a great defense, and a complementary assortment of receivers. And yeah, you can have a great chance of going to the Super Bowl with Jimmy G at the quarterback position. You look at a team like even Green Bay, if Rodgers were to leave, you look at a team like that has talent everywhere on the squad, and you have a good chance of making it to a Super Bowl. There's different rosters who honestly they just need a quarterback that has a high IQ.
Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah. They haven't had one of those since when did Luck retire again?
All right. Yeah, all right.
But I mean, will I bet money on Jimmy G winning a Super Bowl in his career? Absolutely not. But if I'm a team that needs that quarterback position filled, I'm not mad if my team goes out and grabs Jimmy Garoppolo, even as a placeholder for like 2 or 3 years while, a rookie or something sits behind him or, something like that. He wins. You can look at his win percentage. These are all facts. These are all facts. He just wins games. I don't know how. It's literally Jimmy G magic. He just winds up in the right place at the right time and wins games. I think there's something to be said about that. Even though we can't understand it, there's something to be said.
It's interesting. Jimmy G's interception at the end of the game, that one kind of hit home. That one looked way too familiar from my eyes, unfortunately. I've seen that multiple times this season.
Oh, man.
So look, sometimes you get a little scared, and sometimes you gotta throw something out there. Unfortunately,
throw it out of bounds.
Look, sometimes that just slips your mind, and you try to flip it with your left hand in the middle of nothing and hope that one of your players are there. But regardless, like Alfonso said, look, the difference between Jimmy G and the unnamed player that I'll name now, Carson Wentz, is that Jimmy G wins games. Like, Jimmy G wins games. I don't know how he does it. Because like the thing about it is Jimmy G's got a roster. He's got a good roster, but so does Carson Wentz. Like the thing about Jimmy G is I think the way that he was brought into the league, he wasn't the starter right away. There wasn't high expectations for him. There was no expectation for Jimmy G to be a starting quarterback in the NFL. So honestly, for him, it's like, all right, whatever I do as a starter is going to be called as a positive because I wasn't supposed to be a starter. I was supposed to be a backup to Tom Brady my whole career working under Belichick. And that would have been totally fine because he's got a Super Bowl ring. He's got the rings to show for it. So for him now, all of that's out of the way. All right, I'm not going to be a starting quarterback. Maybe I like to be one day, but honestly, right now, I'm going to focus on just being as good of a player as I can be for this Patriots organization. What that did is that allowed him to just learn and just watch the greatest quarterback of all time, sit with the greatest coach of all time, and just take in how to play quarterback. And I think that gave him a lot of confidence once he actually became a starter, of course, in the couple of games that he did with New England, and then getting the starting role in San Francisco. That said to him, all right, I've learned with the best people in this game that ever lived. I can do this, especially if I have a good roster like he's had in San Francisco. I think for him, that's just a natural confidence that he has. So the ability to just rip the ball down the field or methodically drive the ball down the field, that's nothing new to him. That's something he's been doing since the start of his career. So I think for Jimmy G, this is going to be a blip on the radar, and wherever he goes after San Francisco, because it's likely that he's not going to return with the, likelihood of Trey Lance getting the starting job in San Francisco. Wherever Jimmy G lands after this, I don't think it'll be that big of a deal for any team. I think they're going to get a really good starting quarterback, not a high-end one, not someone who could break the game open, but like Alfonso said, a game manager, someone who could take a good roster and bring it to the next level, like they did in San Francisco, and like he's going to do with whatever roster he lands himself on in the future.
Yeah. Real quick before I go on with that, would you take him in Indianapolis?
Would I take him in Indianapolis? I mean,
oh man,
I like to believe that Carson
man.
Wentz has got some time left. I think, maybe Carson's got maybe Frank Reich and Carson Wentz are going to dial something up in year 2 where he doesn't, sprain 2 ankles, instead wins 2 more games to get us into the playoffs. Maybe that would be something. But regardless, I think Jimmy G, if he went to the Colts, hypothetically, he'd be a good fit. But I don't see that happening.
Yeah. Hey, I like the belief that you're having in team. I like it. So what was totally wrong in that game for them, because they are a rushing attack team in every single game that they've played this season. But this game, Deebo Samuel, one of their top rushers, and he's a wide receiver, folks. He had 26 yards on 7 carries with 0 TDs. Elijah Mitchell had 20 yards on 11 carries, 0 TDs. So that running game was nowhere to be found. Obviously, the Rams pass rush defense run defense is impeccable. They're one of the top rush defenses in the league right now. So they weren't able to get anything off. But the San Francisco 49ers would have won this game. If it wasn't for, I'm being a bad reporter right now because I do not know his name, but number 3 on defense, boy, you dropped that interception that would have closed the game out. I don't think he has a job next year, bro. I think he's have a job.
I mean, he's been a stalwart on that team though for a few years.
No,
now.
yeah, he has.
I think it's Jaquaski Tart, right, Alfonso?
Well, I'll say this real quick, because this is just another example of Jimmy G can put you in a position to win. Think about it, they're 1 interception away from Jimmy G winning them another game by being a game manager. This is what I'm talking about. There's something magical about Jimmy Garoppolo and the way that he plays. And he had 2 touchdowns in this game. So it's not like he was, completely game managing in this one. He was doing well. Now, the emergence of Eric Weddle in this Rams defense again, this isn't even fair, man.
No, they have a super team. They have a super team.
He wasn't supposed to be good, bro.
But here's the thing.
He got picked up right before the
last time he was playing for the Rams
2 years ago.
2 years ago, this man's tackle number was insane. And it's because he's so good at reading the run. He's so good at plugging the gaps. He led the team in tackles in this game too. Like, I cannot stress enough, this is not fair. Like in baseball, you have to have a 40-man roster set, I believe 1 month before the playoffs start. Sometime in September, you have to have your 40-man roster set where you can't send anybody down to the minors and you can't bring anybody up from the minors. There has to be some type of rule instituted in the NFL that follows those same guidelines. After week 18, no more free agent signings. No more free agent signings. Seriously, you can't just bring an elite defender off the street.
I mean, nobody knew he wasn't even supposed to get more than 20 snaps a game. He had.
I did a report on this. I
think he started
first broke. I did a report on this, and I was mentioning how dominant he would make this run defense. Because Eric Weddle, yes, in his heyday, he was pretty decent in coverage as well, but this man has always been a run-stopping safety. The epitome of what a strong safety is supposed to be, Eric Weddle has been his entire career. And I knew he was going to come in and do the same thing. It's not right.
I think you're a little salty, bro.
Man.
The Packers didn't play them, so I didn't have to watch my team suffer. But when you look at the San Francisco 49ers
against the Rams,
listen,
Hey man, I don't have that Zoom upgraded to the Pro, so we're gonna have to cut this short. But the Rams, yes, they're going to the Super Bowl. They're gonna play against the Cincinnati Bengals. The Rams will play in their home stadium because that's where the Super Bowl is located. By the way,
Second straight year.
Yep, second straight year that a home team goes to the Super Bowl where it's gonna be played at. That's pretty freaking raw, honestly. That's pretty freaking raw. The halftime show, by the way, is gonna be amazing. You got Dr. Dre.
Yeah, I'm actually performing. So.
Oh, okay,
of course.
okay.
Yeah.
You got us tickets?
No.
No.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
like that,
I'm
like that.
performing. You watch it on TV.
All
Sick,
right, that's fine. That's
sick
fine.
invite. Sick invite.
Just one quick note on the Super Bowl, though. We just said 2 straight years the home team has played in the Super Bowl. Next year, it's State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona. So,
That's not happening.
Cardinals,
That's not happening.
you never know.
The streak is over. The
All
streak
right.
is over.
I looked it up solely for the purpose that it could have possibly been Lucas Oil Stadium, and I would have been really excited. But
Oh yeah, the streak definitely would have been broken.
all right,
100%.
okay, they're never going to put a Super Bowl in Lambeau anyway. So
Well,
they're
they
gonna-
should. They should. That would be amazing.
All right.
All right, real quick before we jump to this next topic, let me get your predictions. Rams versus the Bengals. Who's winning? Who you got?
Give me Joe Burrow.
I gotta go. I gotta go Joe Burrow. I think the Bengals, they got Money Mac, they got Jamar Chase, they got Joe Burrow. They're too cool. They're cooler than LA. They're cooler than life. Cincinnati's the new LA. They're gonna win the Super Bowl.
I'm
I'm
honestly
going-
just waiting for Stafford to choke this thing away. I really am.
I love
Just
Matthew
waiting.
Stafford.
Yes,
I love him
yes.
too, but I'm just waiting for him to screw this up. So
He did clock the ball though in the divisional round, so good for him.
yeah, good for him.
Folks, the Detroit Lions wasted his day. Nick, I'm sorry to say this, but thank
Nick.
God that he's out of there because, man, I love Matthew Stafford and I love Odell Beckham as well. I'm going Rams. I think they're going to pull this one off. They're going to win it for the home team. But yeah, jumping into the next one, man, some crazy news came out this week. Tom Brady officially retired, and Adam Schefter did not give us the news. It came from him. It came from Tom Brady himself. But man, what a career for Tom Brady, bro. People are mad that he's actually retiring and stuff, but honestly, we got to be grateful for what he gave us. 7 Super Bowl wins. He was 3 NFL MVPs, and he finished 9 times in the top 5 for NFL MVP. This guy played in 318 games. His record was 243 wins with 73 losses. Sheesh. He completed 7,263 passes out of 11,317 with 84,520 yards and 624 TDs. This man was an animal. This man is an alien. I don't understand why they let him play in the NFL. This guy was built in a lab. How do you guys feel about him retiring already?
I got 2 sides of the coin for this.
Oh,
First
Lord.
off, all respect to Tom Brady. He's the greatest player to ever play football. There's no denying that. He's far surpassed every single player in the league. But on the other side of it, there's a certain social media video that the Colts put out earlier, or I think it was yesterday, that just epitomized how happy some of us were to see Tom Brady go. As a relief, the NFL is Tom Brady is taking the handcuffs off the NFL and is finally putting them back in his pocket because he handcuffed the league for 20 years, winning Super Bowls, making sure that no other team got the feeling that he got, winning multiple Super Bowls. So you know what? All props to Brady, but also thank you for finally leaving.
Now, I'll say this. You start to respect legends more towards the end of their career. We saw it with Kobe when he was winding his career down, where people hated him in his prime and loved him towards the end. And that's really what happens. That's what happened with Brady. You just found a sense of deep respect for everything that he's brought to the game. The way that he plays, his IQ, not having the greatest athleticism and still yet having more Super Bowls himself than any franchise in NFL history does.
Sheesh.
How is anybody better than this guy when you have 7 and the next closest team has 6? One of them you won all 6 for. So like when you think about it from that perspective, you're like, you know what? It's really not even close. It used to be Lawrence Taylor for me. But I think Brady has far surpassed Lawrence Taylor at this point.
It's the avocado ice cream. It's confirmed. I think that
confirmed.
there's something in it that I think it was a problem. I think the NFL should randomly drug test Tom Brady for the avocado ice cream.
I agree.
I feel like
Avocado ice cream.
come on, dude. It's a secret stuff.
Hats off to a great career
100,
for Brady.
100%.
The game's gonna miss him a lot.
Yep. Well, man, hey, it's been awesome. I appreciate you guys for coming on, man. I really, really appreciate it. Real quick, before we get out of here, let the people know where they could find you, where they could view all your content, because I know you guys be working your asses off, baby.
Look, me and Brandon got some great projects coming up together.
Things.
Some
sick
really
invite.
Stuff. Look, man, look. We had to dig, really deep to find these contacts and things like that. But we're really excited for what we're gonna bring to audiences. And besides that, just regular social media, Alphonso McCree Jr. AlphonsoMcCreeJr.com if you want to check out my portfolio, show it to your employers and all that cool stuff. But I'm getting more consistent at posting content. The I Am Sports reports are really picking up. We just got a sponsor, so we're excited about that. And
talk your shit. Let me hear that cockiness. I don't want no modest right now, bro. Let me hear that.
I'm just a hardworking dude, man. Look, the military taught me how to work hard, how to be professional, and now I'm just applying it to the things I love. So I'm blessed. I'm surrounded by great professionals, and I'm excited for the future.
Yes, sir.
Man. I mean, look, we got a lot of big things planned, as like Alfonso was saying. That's all going to roll out in the coming months. For me, regular social media, Brandon F. Daniels on all the major platforms. Don't have a website. That's actually in the works. I'm actually going to work on that as soon as we get off of here. But regardless, I mean, like Alfonso said, working with professionals right alongside you guys and everybody else has been an absolute pleasure. So I'm always the man to grind in silence. So it's been a blast.
Literally,
I can't complain. I grind in silence, and it's been fun.
Oh man, yeah, man. Hey, you guys have been doing good work, man. Keep it up for sure. Everybody, you know where you can follow me: Twitter, GMike Perez, TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram, GMike Media _. The podcast is the G Perspective on all podcast platforms. You guys know what it is already, baby. Alfonso, Brandon, keep doing your thing. Do not stop. Do not stop the grind every single day. Make sure you're completing and accomplishing your daily goals, because if not, someone else is going to take our spot, gentlemen, and we can't have that shit. Hey, but I appreciate you guys for coming on. You guys are obviously more than welcome to come on whenever you guys want. Brandon, we have to win a game in this basketball league because we're getting ass whooped.
Yeah, let's just table that for Mondays. Let's move on.
Hey, man. Hey, I'm not scared or shy away from saying that we're getting. Yes, bro. Exactly. We are. Thank you, gentlemen, again, man. I appreciate it. I hope you guys have a good night, man.
All right.
Bye, buddy.